policies were too radical to implement.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr.
Speaker,
Aaron Gilmore.
Mr. Speaker, look, that was a wonderful bit of rhetoric by maybe a deputy leadership challenge by the member for Waimakariri. And I think look, this bill is all about some wonderful steps. And I think it's great that the member for Waimakariri thinks that the former Prime Ministers of the National Party are super. I think it's great that he thinks they're super. But look, I want to talk about another Superman, and a Superman who this bill has brought in place, the fact that Bill English, who's in the House, has done a wonderful job at putting in place some wonderful pieces of portability around KiwiSaver. So you see, Mr. Speaker, when I was born, we actually had a higher per capita income than Australia. We had a higher per capita income in Australia, and since that time, what's happened? We've gone backwards. This bill will allow somewhere in the region of about $15 to $16 billion, as I understand it, sitting in Australia right now, to be able to come home to some of the tens of thousands of Kiwis that since the last election a year ago have decided to come home, and they want to bring their capital home in New Zealand to invest in the things that are here in New Zealand. And I think that's a wonderful thing, Mr. Speaker. And we welcome them home. We welcome them home, Mr. Speaker. Whether seniors or young people, wherever they come from, we welcome them home. And they're coming home in their droves because what they want is a John Key-led national government, and they're very happy to come here and they want to bring their investments home. Mr. Speaker, our government is focused on issues of growth, and this bill we've been talking about here is focused on the vagaries of the history. I don't care really about the history, I care about the future. And the other thing I want to talk about in particular is about this portability of KiwiSaver will allow some people to bring here, some people we've talked about, the former member worked in Australia, we had one of our former speakers worked in Australia, they have money tied up in superannuation schemes, they can bring it home in KiwiSaver and that money can be used to invest and grow New Zealand businesses. Mr. Speaker, I want to touch on one other aspect of this bill that no one hasn't spoken on, and that is the issue of a really technical issue around the non-resident oil rig operations. Mr. Speaker, this country is mineral rich, and we've spoken a lot about Australia and Australia's wealth. Well, our third biggest export last year, Mr. Speaker, was oil, despite what people believe. And Mr. Speaker, the ability that this bill actually allows will push out a bit longer some of the exemptions that the oil rig operators do have, and that will allow, at the moment, we've got 2 oil rigs drilling off the coast of Taranaki, and I expect we'll have more drill in the next 6 months. There is something like $1 billion being invested in oil rig drilling operations over the next 6 months, and some of those will be successful, Mr. Speaker, and those things will allow us to grow our economy faster and catch up with Australia. That's all I want to touch on, Mr. Speaker, and I look forward to the rest of the debate and this further things through the Select Committee. Thank you.